Hi, hello and welcome to a new video here from Faceless guy from me. Today together with this cute little teddy. Please subscribe for the teddy or for me, depending on what you like more or who you like more. So in this video I will react to this video from Second Thought. It's a week old, so I think on the last day of the last year. So why you should be a socialist in 2024? I am already a socialist or a communist or something in between. So yeah, why? I mean, it will be an interesting video, and I like Second Thought very much. He explained so many times already to me why communism is good and the future and why we should work towards this, work together towards a better future. And I'm very happy to do it again. I would really like to. I mean, of course, I would like to meet this guy from Second Thought or Hassan Abi or other socialists online. I would really like to meet some of them. Um, and maybe, who knows? Maybe I will have the opportunity one day, whether now in a call or in person. Who knows? The world is finite, and I mean, there's always a chance. So, of Norman Finkelstein, one of the guys I really admire very much for his work for the Palestinian people and for justice and accountability. Of course, I am in favor of giving the Palestinian people their own state. Although I think a one-state solution is the best, where every human being, every person in the borders of Palestine and Israel have the same equal rights, a secular state without any favored religion, and of course the right to return for all Palestinian people all around the world, that they can come to the land they have been either expelled from or are children of someone who was expelled. So all the Palestinians which were expelled have the right to return, should have the right to return, and they should be also they should get some moment reparations. All the Palestinian people should get reparations from Israel for the terror they have been um, which was done to them. So that's my point of view on Israel and Palestine. And accountability. All the war crimes which were committed by Israel and also those which were committed by Palestinian people should be equally um, bring to court. So everyone who committed war crimes have to no, there needs to be accountability for war crimes. That's the only way forward, I think. My personal opinion. But now, this video. Where you should be a socialist in 2024. I will eat in between some snacks I have here. But I will mute myself then like this. You hear the sound. And I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Tell me what you want me to react next to. I'm not perfect in English, as there's this funny videos. I sometimes see the shorts, and then I'm not sure who it was. There's this short channel Zach and something. He lives in Germany, came from the United States, and he makes funny shorts. And in one of the shorts, I think, or was it um Austrian Kiwi? A guy from New Zealand who lives now in Austria and also makes some funny shorts. I will maybe have a link to these videos or the channels in the description, or you can ask me in the comments and I'll send you then a link if I remember. But in one of the shorts, one of these guys said, a funny thing is, Germans tend to at least in his experience, say, "Oh, now I can't speak English very well," and then they would speak in fluent English, which would it's funny. I would also say I'm not good in English. I'm okay, but I'm not good. But I think I'm fluent. So, yeah. Anyway, tell me funny stories in the comments if you want, and let's start with this video. Please subscribe to Second Thought, a wonderful guy. I like him very much. The same goes for Hassan Abi, Owen Jones, who's not a socialist, I think, but a good journalist. Novara Media, but Socialist, Second Thought, Ukopnik, and I forgot the last one. I'm sorry. I subscribed to all three of them from the program. Maybe I remember his name in the video. But please subscribe to him and like his video, and let's start now.
This episode and others like it are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, join the Discord, and get early access to every video, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought.
Also, what I like about Second Thought is that he, I think, never really make advertisement. There are no ads in his videos. He makes this kind of announcement, hey, support me on Patreon. I already supported him on Patreon for a while. I stopped him because I had no money, but I will do it again if I have some money again. Great guy. Thank you, Second Thought.
Okay, last video of the year. Hi there. This is one of those videos that will likely attract a lot of new viewers. If you're one of them, welcome to.
I'm not one of them. I mean, not sadly. I enjoy his videos, but I'm not one of them. I watch him for a long while. I like him for a long while. I supported him on Patreon already, as I said. Great guy. I really enjoy his videos. He explains it very well. Hassan Abi likes his videos, and I like Hassan Abi as well. So if I watch the reaction from Hassan Abi to one of his videos, it's always amazing. So yeah, subscribe for him. I will talk about my viewpoint and also my what I personally think to some of the stuff he says in between. So I will pause, but I will pause every time I make a comment. So you can enjoy his video as well. You can also watch his video on his channel, of course. But if you watch it here on my channel and listen to my commentary, thank you very much. Subscribe for me if you like.
The channel. My name is JT, and I make videos about politics and culture from a socialist perspective. I made one of these last year, and I figured it'd be fun to revisit the topic. A lot of structural issues remain unchanged, so if some of this sounds familiar, don't be surprised. So let's get straight to the heart of the matter. Many of the problems in your life are either caused or worsened by capitalism. The good news is, we have them.
True. Absolutely. For example, I don't have a job right now. I don't earn any money in the moment. I wish I would. I apply often for jobs, but I get rejected. There are probably good reasons for the company to reject me. They already have someone or so. But it still sucks for me because so many things I wish I could do, like for example, paying for my healthcare, is difficult without getting any money. And of course, our society is based on money, but this is also part of the problem. And that the people who want to work can't work, and that there's still I could do anything. I would do anything in a socialist society. I would be happy to do, I don't know, something like working on the field, building support to build a building, do anything else, where work needs to be done. If everyone would just work less hours a day, there would be more work available for people to do. And money is not a problem. Money is not anything people need to survive for with. So people could just enjoy their life. They could study. For example, people could study. People could do other things. For example, I am studying. I will not tell you what, because it doesn't matter. But I'm studying and also working meanwhile, if I have work. But The thing is, people could just do focus on the one thing, like for example on studying, or if they have children and they are very young, to raise their children. They would not be forced to work all day, or chunks of the day to survive, and they could focus and concentrate on other things which are more important in the moment. And if they can work, and um, if there's work available, if something needs to be done, they would also work. People could work less hours a day. Many things, and many is also kind of works or jobs would be maybe unnecessary anymore. But the jobs which are necessary, like very simplified, the bakery, the um people at school, teachers, and many more jobs, of course, and people who contribute, for example, goods. If we live really in a society without any money, where stuff is just given to people who need this stuff. Supermarkets would be more like places where you can go to get some food, get some other necessary goods. Also maybe some luxury goods. How the luxury goods are distributed is a different thing and needs to be thought about. How this is most efficiently distributed. Mm, as I don't have a perfect solution for this, of course. I'm not. I don't know everything, but the normal, ordinary goods which everyone needs to survive, from bread, noodles, tomato sauce, anything you can possibly imagine, batteries. I'm sorry for my English sometimes. All of these things could be distributed at, for example, supermarkets, or stores or places which are supermarkets now, would contribute, for example, just the goods to people who need this. And also, this is of course something. If we would really change the system from a few decades, or over a period of time of a few decades, it would be very difficult, of course, to do this in a efficient way, but it would be possible, of course. It's not anything which is which have to stay like this forever. That's where socialists and communists come in. I'm not sure what I am. Okay, let's continue with the video first. I will talk later more. I can talk about this for a very long time. I have thought about this for many years, and I am a communist since many years. Like most of my family.
Means to solve these problems. When we socialists say a better world is possible, it's because it's true. Capitalism has only really been around for a few hundred years. It's a little bit silly to assume that we just magically found the perfect system and this is how humans are supposed to live. It's not utopian to think that maybe something better can come after, and it's not being bitter or envious to criticize the status quo. Things are bad, we know why, and we know how.
I think it's always good and it's always necessary and required that you questionize every authority in the world. No authority is ever always right. Also not in a communist state. There is always room for improvement. In a communist society as well. And maybe things don't are always perfectly. So it's always good to criticize. It's always good to criticize every authority in the world.
How to fix them. Every system eventually comes to an end. Just as humanity progressed from feudalism to capitalism, so too will capitalism give way to socialism. It's the logical next step in human development. If you strip away all the extra stuff, the core purpose of our species, the only thing that really matters, is leaving a better life for our children. We can no longer do that under capitalism. So, let's take a look at some of the problems capitalism creates and why it's time to move on. The example I used in last year's video was the massive transfer of wealth during the COVID pandemic. Now that the dust has mostly settled, we have better data on just how extreme it really was.
I'm not sure if that's the thing I suspect it is. But aren't those the four guys, including how is it called? Jeff Bezos? They would travel to the space and just for fun and used up super much money for this. I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but if it is, then it is truly probably a waste of money. I'm still, of course, for space exploring. I love the space, but maybe we should deal with some of the problems we have on Earth first before we dive too deep into space. But I love space, so I would not completely abandon this kind of science, which is amazing. I love space, space travel, and I want to explore the universe. So, yeah. But we should, I mean, we could, for example, use all of the money for military and just put it into social stuff. Developing good things, changing the system, creating a socialist communist society, and still have some exploring, some money for the science, because I love science as well. Just because I love science, of course, it must not mean that it must we must put money inside. But I think many people love science and are curious about space.
According to a report by Oxfam, the richest 1% of people accumulated nearly 2/3 of all new wealth generated in the last 2 years. I'll say that again. Of the $42 trillion of wealth created since 2020, the richest 1% of people, 1%, siphoned off 26 trillion of it. Put another way, for every $1 of wealth earned by someone in the bottom 90%, the upper crust amassed $1.7 million. During the first 2 years of the pandemic specifically, the 10 richest people on
I mean, this is not shocking for me. I have heard similar stuff like this very often, and it is, of course, absolutely mind-fucking and weird and pervert, but it's not shocking to me.
On Earth accumulated over $1.5 trillion of wealth, which coincidentally is roughly the amount of wealth lost by everyone else. These 10 people, already so rich they'd make the pharaohs blush, raked in money at a rate of $1.3 billion every single day for 2 years. Together, these oligarchs hold more wealth than the world's poorest 4 billion people. That is staggering inequality. In a time when 99% of humanity was struggling to make ends meet, when companies were sacrificing their workers on the altar of profit, when millions lost their jobs and had to survive on 2 tiny emergency checks over the span of 2 years, the ultra-rich were safe, isolated, and profiting massively off the suffering of their fellow human beings.
Yeah, those 10 guys need to be cut their worth. I don't know, 99.99% or so. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how much, but definitive so that they come down from their higher throne.
Beings. One staggering statistic that really puts this wealth disparity into perspective is that if these 10 multi-billionaires lost 99.99% of their wealth right now, they'd still be richer than 99% of the population. It's hard to even conceptualize that kind of inequality, but this is what capitalism produces. It's not that capitalism is evil, it's that it is beholden to its own inherent logic, the logic of the profit motive. If the profit motive says 1 million people need to die to save the economy, then the only possible outcome under a capitalist system is that 1 million people will die. I said last year that this is not a system that works, but I want to amend that statement. Capitalism does work. It does the thing it's supposed to do, which is accumulate capital. But because of how capitalism works, we're left with a society in which the extreme wealth of the few is a direct result of the suffering of the many. And that tiny handful of multi-billionaires will only get smaller over time. An economic system constructed to produce winners and losers will always end in monopoly. Look at Google, look at Amazon, look at Disney. Every facet of our society is being consolidated under ever-growing megacorporations. And that's not going to stop. It can't. And a system that creates godlike wealth for a handful while
I think it's then I think would be much better from a economical point of view to live in, for example, China than in the United States or in Europe for the most part, I think, because maybe they are not socialist or communist as I imagine it, or I mean, maybe they are even communist as I imagine it. I'm not sure, but even if not, they control much better the economic, I mean the economy than other countries do. So maybe the likelihood that you end up having a better life is much more greater in China than in a country like the United States or Germany or France or Great Britain. It must not be true, but I could imagine this would be true.
While actively preventing the vast majority from living a decent life needs to be done away with. More and more people are waking up to this fact as things continue to get worse.
I want to believe that at least what I said about China. I want to believe this because it would at least give me a chance. My family or my friends or people I know or other people to have a decent life if they would move to China. Because as I said, human rights maybe not the best always. They have the death penalty. I don't like this, but I like that they control the economy much better as far as I understand it than Western countries do. I wish we would also have such a control of our own economy. As I understand, we don't have it in the same way and don't control the economy as good as China does. But maybe I'm also wrong with this. But yeah, I that's also why I think not just because of this, but in general, I believe that a multipolar world is much better than a unipolar world. So I like that. I would really like if China's power is becoming bigger and greater and is rising. So the United States does not control or influence everything too much. But a multipolar world. I like this.
But okay, come on. Capitalism is an improvement over feudalism, right? We can't just throw away the best thing we have. You're right. It was an improvement. We went from a system where there was no chance of upward mobility to one where some lucky few could rise out of poverty. That's great. But the thing we have to realize is that something which could have been seen as progressive 400 years ago might not be so great today. Things change, and in capitalism's case, not for the better. Again, due to the inherent logic of the profit motive, the ruling class must always take measures to reduce costs and maximize profits. And over time, you start to run out of fat to trim. Today, 50% of all new wealth created goes directly to the top 1% of the population. CEOs of large corporations make over 350 times what their workers do, while employee wages are lower than they were 50 years ago when you account for inflation. But I could almost forgive that if half of all Americans didn't live paycheck to paycheck, or if a $50 trillion transfer of wealth hadn't gone from the bottom 90% of society to the top 1% since 1975. But they do, and it has. And it's not just wages, it's everything else too. 28 million Americans don't get any paid vacation or paid holidays, so
Of course, that's better in Germany, but we exploit the third world. So, Europe, many European countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland. It's much better than in the US, and I like this. But it also still relies on exploitation. So, people in the global south, in Africa, in South America, Southeast Asia, or other parts of the world, we exploit them. We use their resources. We use their sheep work, and in many more different ways we exploit them. And yeah, that's why we have a better life here than in Africa also. So to have a global system where everyone in the world lives a decent life, things have to change, and we have to it's something we have to make ourselves clear. We cannot use as much resources and as much um as much resources from the world as we do now. We have to limit ourselves. We can't, for example, maybe travel to make a big vacation where we fly around the half of the world, or I don't know, fly at all every year, but maybe just every 2 or 3 years. We have to limit ourselves. We have to use up less energy. We have to use up less resources. We have to limit ourselves in every way possibly, so everyone in the world can have a decent life, a similar decent life. And then I think we could also enjoy much more our vacation if we know that it's not on the back of people in the third world, that they can't have vacation ever in their life, so we can have a vacation every year. That they can never have a flat screen monitor, so we can have one, I don't know, every few years, because oh, this one is bigger, we need more, bigger. There's this new video game, I want to play it, and now I need a better computer. I mean, I myself am part of this problem. I also have problems limit myself, but we have to do it. So everyone in the world can have a similar decent life. And maybe we don't need to limit ourselves too much. Who knows? I'm not sure about this. But I am sure that we have to limit ourselves to a certain degree. And I'm willing to do so. Even if it's difficult. But I think to really change something in the society, it must come from both the top and the bottom. So people have to start being aware about the fact that we have to change, at least to a certain degree, and also from the top through laws and changes in the government and policy changes. So to really reach a better world, a different world, we have to come from the bottom and from the top, and then we meet somewhere in the middle. And maybe if we act soon, it will not be far too big of a change than if we wait much longer. The inequality becomes bigger. Also, climate change, the same thing about climate change. If we change now something, if we limit ourselves now, if we change our lifestyle now, maybe the difference between our lifestyle now and in 200 years will not be as much different than it could be if we wait much longer.
They hardly take any time off. And who can blame them? When wages don't even keep up with inflation, and most people can't cover a surprise $400 expense, it's simply not possible to take time off. And that's hardly surprising for a country that also has no federal guaranteed paid parental leave whatsoever. It's not just that we're getting paid less, getting a smaller share of the wealth we produce, and enriching a single % of the population despite living in the most productive time in human history. We're working more for less. And please don't think I'm cherry-picking data here. All of these statistics are from Western, capitalist-funded sources. They're all linked in the description if you want to check. Anyway, again, all of these statistics are perfectly in line with the prime directive of our current economic model, the accumulation of profit for the capitalist class. They're all justified by the fact that in some way they've allowed for a small minority of the population, incredibly powerful and wealthy by virtue of ownership of the means of production, to squeeze more out of their workers for themselves. In the last century, we've seen the gradual destruction of unions, a federal tolerance of permanent high unemployment, and a series of changes to the tax system that allow more and more wealth to accumulate at the top. Wealth is more
Okay, hi, you hear me. Of course, he's talking very much, very specifically about the United States, but many of the things are in a similar way, or maybe not always such dramatic, but also very bad true for Europe. So I'm not sure about China, Russia, India, so but about Europe I have at least an idea. I know how Europe treated Greece, for example, in the year of the crisis. I know how brutal it was, and um how they talked about Greece people.
Concentrated, we're more overworked, and rampant inequality persists because this economic system has no mechanism to fix these problems. On the contrary, it thrives on their existence. What capitalism demands above
I think it snows where he is. It's amazing. I would like to have snow myself. It looks like snow. Maybe it's completely wrong. Maybe he lives in a desert, and it's not snow, because how can it be snow in a desert? I mean, sometimes I think there is snow in this desert, but it's not normal, and I'm not sure where he lives. I think he's in Texas, but I'm not sure.
all else is profit. And in order for the system to be profitable, somebody needs to get screwed over. And it certainly won't be those with the executive power to set the rules. Think of it like this. No boss out there, however compassionate or kind-hearted they are, will ever pay their employee an equal or greater amount than they bring to the company. It wouldn't make sense. What would be the point of hiring an extra person if all the money they generate goes right back in their pocket?
Of course, that's true. Yeah, they you produce something. You for example, I imagine as a baker, as a maybe assistant in a bakery, you create out of the raw out of the raw dough. So from the raw dough, the assistant makes through baking and also maybe shaping with your hands bread. And through the process, the expenses that were necessary to make the dough, and the cost of the bread which is then sold, of course, the salary of the assistant is not equal to the increased value from before and after the baking, or her work. So her work increased the value of the product, but her salary is not equal to the increasement of the value of the product, which is profit, capitalism. That's the basic principle behind capitalism, and it's disgusting. So she should get paid exactly the money, the amount of money she put in. That's wage theft, I think. Or is it something else? I'm not sure, but it's terrible. Through her work, she increased the value of the product, so she should get paid the money. How much it is now more worth than before.
In other words, no matter what your pay is, even if it seems incredibly generous, it's less than what you're actually worth to the company. And the money taken off the top, your surplus value, isn't going to a company fund or R&D or a collective pension scheme, nothing that benefits you or your
it should be exactly used for those things, like if there is a if I get paid less than what I put in through my work to increase the value of the product, this surplus value, as he mentioned, should exactly be used for stuff like improve the working condition, maybe hire some more people, make life more comfortable, for the whole company, for the whole collective group of employees. It should be used to their benefit.
co-workers even indirectly. No, it's going to the shareholders. Otherwise, there'd be no profit, only expenses and income. This is the fundamental truth of
There should not be profit. Expenses, yes. Income, yes, but it should be equal. Expenses and income. So no profit. I think this would be better for everyone, and it would create more equality.
capitalism. The employee-employer relationship is always in favor of the employer. Because when it isn't, companies aren't profitable. And that's a big no-no under capitalism. And the rest of the economy is there to facilitate that. A consistent natural unemployment and a minimum wage that hasn't budged in 15 years together gives your boss the ability to replace you at any time. It keeps you compliant to their power under threat of poverty. And it gives them leverage to steadily increase the gap between how much money you make for the company and how much you get paid. Okay, I understand that last section may have been a little frustrating if this is the first time you're hearing these talking points. I can hear you saying, well, yeah.
It's not the first time I hear this. It's frustrating, yes. You feel powerless because you can't really change something. I cannot do anything against the top 5, 10 assholes in the world which have so much more money than anywhere else in the world. I can't change it. But I understand the inequality, I understand why capitalism is a terrible system. And I'm all in favor of changing it. Whether now overnight or over a decade, it doesn't matter for me. Maybe overnight would be too quick, but still then, I would do it. I would be in favor of it. It would be more tough, but maybe more tough. I'm not sure if it would be even more difficult or more. I'm not sure how it would really influence everything, but I would be in favor of changing it. I mean, that you need to pay money for studying, and that you need to pay money for health insurance, even if you don't earn any money. It is weird, and it should not be the case. People who earn a lot of money should pay a lot of money to the universal healthcare system, and people who don't earn enough money or earn any money at all should not need to pay anything and still have the full coverage, because we live in this social society, or at least that's my wish. I know we do. In Germany it's not so bad. I can go to the doctor anytime I want, and I don't need to pay anything. But in other countries it's much worse, and yeah, it should be everywhere good.
That sucks, but how else would a business function? It's just common sense that it has to be this way or the economy wouldn't work.
It's not common sense, it is just something we are only used to, which he also probably will mention right now. We are only used to this, we don't know anything else, we don't know how it could be much better in a different system.
And that right there is the point. It's not that the economy wouldn't work, it's that a capitalist economy wouldn't work. So, what about socialism? Whereas capitalists and temporarily embarrassed millionaires believe that free markets inherently lead to the greatest societal good, socialists have a different perspective. In a nutshell, proponents of capitalism believe that along with a free market, a healthy society is divided into two classes. One that owns and controls the productive enterprises and seeks profit, and one that does not own this form of property and therefore needs to sell its labor for a wage. In their opinion, markets, even when they're imperfect, are better at making decisions than democracy is. Socialists disagree. We understand that markets follow the money, not the collective good. And side note, capitalists understand this too. They just think the average person is gullible enough to believe their propaganda. At its core, the whole capitalist system is built on a small group of unelected people having more power than everybody else and using it to.
I think also people should be able to elect their boss, and he should have a term limit, and I mean everything should of course belong to everyone, and you should vote for your boss for 2 years, 3 years term limit or so. I mean, maybe there would not be any need for a boss either way in a socialist communist society, but still. I think if you need to have a boss, I think he should be elected, and everyone should be able. Everyone who is a member of the company should be able to run for it, and then, yeah, if he doesn't do a good job, he can be replaced, or there can be a vote to get him out of office.
Enrich themselves. The socialist conception of society does away with all that. But before we talk about what socialists do want, we should briefly touch on what we don't want. Because we've all been subjected to a century of Red Scare propaganda at this point, so it's probably worthwhile to clear up some misconceptions. First, we're not trying to make everyone work in the coal mines and wear all gray and have exactly the same number of state-mandated Funko Pops. When socialists use words like equality, we're talking about making sure that everyone is afforded.
It's not about that everyone has the same items, has the same products, is absolutely equal. It's about that everyone has equal possibilities to participate in a peaceful and nice life. So the outcome should be equal, not the input. So imagine a fence where three people stand in front of the fence and want to look above the fence. They are all different. They have all a different size. Like one is very tall, one is medium tall, and one is very small. It's not about that everyone gets a similar as a box which is has a certain height. It's about that the tallest guy doesn't get the smallest box. The medium guy a medium box, and the smallest guy the tallest box. So they at the end they have all the same height and can look about the fence and watch, for example, the football game or so. I saw a picture like this before to explain the difference between the different types of equality. So on the one side, when other box the people get is always the same height, the same height. It's equality, input equality, I would name it maybe, because what you give to the people is equal, and the output equality would be then equivalently if you give them boxes which are have different sizes or different heights, and at the end the heads are after they receive the box all on the same height. So output equality, and I think output equality is much more important. So people who are very poor get the biggest support, and people who are already very rich don't get any support or the lowest. If it's about probably changing the system from a capitalist system to a communist system. So, for example, taxes. People who are very rich get the highest taxes, and then as less money you have, you get lower taxes, and people who don't have any or just a little money don't need to pay taxes at all. So at the end of the day, people are more equal and have similar possibilities to participate and enjoy all the beautiful sides of the world, the life. Because that's, I think, one of the most important things for socialism or communists, that people can enjoy life at the end of the day. That they don't need to struggle with a work when they are sick. That they can afford a nice place to have holidays or vacation once in a while. That if they are sick or old, that they can enjoy the retirement. That people can learn and study without being afraid to not be able to live because they don't have enough money, because they are not from a rich family which can just pay for everything. That they can have a family and don't need to be don't think oh, how can I pay this, how can I have a child. I think that's a misconception maybe, because many people think socialists want to take my money away or help. They don't want this. They just want to improve the life of everyone. And if you are already exploiting people, of course, then you will suffer or lose some of the stuff under socialist society. But then it's also good that you lose it, because you were exploiting people in the first place, which is not good. which is something socialists don't like, of course. But if you are a decent, nice human being, you will not suffer under socialism. You will only your living standard will only improve.
The same baseline standard of living. That's it. We're not trying to enforce uniformity across the board. Everyone has the same basic guarantee when it comes to quality of life. You can go out and improve that. It's not a cap on quality of life. It's just a way of saying you are a
Socialists, I think, want to prevent it. Some people try to exploit other people. So, socialism indeed prevents. Or if you want luxury, if you want a better life, and do this on the expense from other people, then of course you will have problems under socialism, because socialism is exactly there to prevent such a thing, to prevent exploitations. So no one gets exploited. But for a decent human being who is not who doesn't want to hurt other people, socialism is the absolute best system you can possibly ever imagine. From my experience, from what I have learned.
human being, and that means you deserve a modicum of dignity and security, no strings attached. Individuality, personal expression, the drive to do or become more, none of that will change.
In fact, I think socialism even benefits people who want to be creative. For example, artists, people who want to express themselves, people who have a hobby where they are creative. Or I mean, every human being wants to do something, enjoys certain things. Whether it's now video play, video gaming, skating, hiking, writing a book, swimming, and everyone would have more time to really enjoy their own personal hobby under a socialist system, because they would not have would not need to work 8-10 hours a day for survival. They would just need to work maybe a few hours, 3, 4, 5, maybe. I'm not sure, but the work week would be much lower, so people would need to work less hours a day. You could enjoy more time with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, and just do your hobby, enjoy your life, because we are so advanced in our technology and other parts. That's why certain even rich people advocate for universal basic income to prevent an uprising in the future, because through innovation, which will become, we will be even more efficient in 50, 60 years than we are already right now, and that's why certain billionaires or millionaires are advocating for universal basic income, because they understand that if the gap between the richest and the poorest is too big, the risk of a revolution is increasing.
Change. That's the best part of being human, and socialists are all about it. In fact, pursuing goals, taking up hobbies, creating art.
I like this. I mean, I love this guy really much. So I will not interrupt him now too often, but he's explaining now, I think, the same thing I already explained to you.
That's all far more possible under socialism, where you've got a guaranteed baseline standard of living, than it is under capitalism, where your options are work or starve. Okay, we've said that a couple times now. Guaranteed standard of living. What specifically does that mean? Universally free, or at the very least universally accessible, housing, education, food, water, and healthcare for all. The right to a life of dignity and basic security, because those things are well within our power to provide. There's too much food going to waste, too many empty houses, too much stuff being destroyed to artificially inflate its cost, and too many people making a profit by hoarding our basic needs. Socialists are tired of people being pushed into grueling, dangerous, or demeaning jobs by being threatened with eviction and starvation. Why are we so intent on holding ourselves back by keeping the majority of the species poor and unable to pursue their passion?
One thing I will have to say here, which he also maybe say, or will say in a few minutes. But um, poverty. How many Einsteins, how many genius we could have had if everyone would have had equal rights and equal access to education and good standards of living. I don't know, but maybe we would have already been um, at Mars or other places in the universe if we would have defeated many diseases and reach much more higher levels of development if there would not be if people wouldn't starve to death in poor countries, if everyone in the world on Earth, Mother Earth or Father Earth, would have equal access to education and healthcare and all of the stuff which are now limited to a few people or to just a certain amount of people. If everyone would have the same possibilities, there could have been much more Einsteins, if you know what I mean.
A society that invests in itself by allowing its people the ability to flourish has a far better chance at longevity and public support than one that withholds necessities for the sake of greater profit. Another thing socialists propose is democratic control over the means of production. We use that word a lot. What does it mean? Think large companies, factories, farms, literally the means by which capital is produced. We advocate for an economy run democratically and not in the search of profit. This can take many forms, whether that's a cybernetically planned economy, a network of autonomous communes, or some other method. What works in the US may be different from what works in other parts of the world. What we can say for certain is that they would all work better than what we have now. Workplaces would be run either without a boss or with one elected by the workers, and the products of the
That's what I mentioned earlier. But he is in this way much more educated. So if you have question about anything he talked about, join his Discord as well. I think he has a Discord. If I find it, I will have a link in the description. Maybe I also join it myself. But I think if you have questions, ask also maybe on under in his video in the comments, because there are maybe people who already subscribe to him and a part of his community to which can also help you, or he himself can answer your question maybe. So you can also ask me something and I can try to find it out or answer it maybe myself because I know it already. But if you have deeper questions, then just go to him, because he's much more educated than me. I admire him in this way. He's a great guy. I'm very grateful for being able to learn from him.
This economy would be geared towards satisfying the needs and wants of society without having to be profitable to do so. If you're having a hard time imagining what a democratic workplace would look like, just think about your current job. I'll take retail as a common example. So I used to work at Best Buy as a camera expert. My job, on paper, was to help customers pick out the camera that would best suit their needs. In reality,
I mean, if I take a look here, you see similarities.
management just wanted me to upsell people on more expensive gear. To make a long story short, the camera department is kind of detached from Best Buy proper. We technically reported to the respective brands, and we didn't have a brand manager there most of the time. When left to our own devices, the camera department had the lowest rate of product returns in the store by far, because we decided amongst ourselves how best to meet the customer's needs. When corporate started pressing us for higher profits and the GM started forcing us to upsell, the return rate skyrocketed, actual profits shrank, and the department got all kinds of negative reviews. In this scenario, and countless others across the labor landscape, the workers know best how to do their job, and meddling from an unelected manager only makes things worse. Democracy in the workplace increases efficiency and morale and reduces waste. It's a no-brainer. One final thing I'd like to talk about is democracy at the national level, the ability to have a say in how your country is run. In the United States, we supposedly elect people who enact policies that reflect the will of the people. It's pretty clear that this is not actually the case. Studies have shown that what the average person wants has next to zero influence on policy, while what lobbying groups want does. Because both major political parties are in the pocket of capitalist industry, particularly fossil fuels and the military-industrial complex, we end up with representation for those with wealth and power. This is something that socialists noticed over 100 years ago. For example, in his book The State and Revolution, Lenin said, "In capitalist society,
L'État et la Révolution. A moment. I want to write this down. Maybe I will read this. L'État et la Révolution. Okay. I wrote it down. Maybe I will read this book. By the way, at Christmas I got a present, a book with a name from Kirsten R. Godus. Why women have better sex under socialism. I'm very curious. I should read in it. I started. I have to read more. If I finish the book, I will also tell you guys and maybe make a book review or so. Sounds awesome. It's of course probably designed through the title to reach maybe more young men. I'm not sure. For me, it was instantly. I heard someone talking about this in a Jubilee video Hasnabi reacted to, but I immediately thought, hey, I want to read this. Maybe I'm a little bit childish in this, but it worked. So if this was a idea, why naming it this book is the way they named the book, it worked for me. It makes me curious, and I have the book now, and I will read it. So it worked. Okay, I'm recording. I'm worried, and you can also hear me. Okay, let's continue.
Democracy is always hemmed in by the narrow limits set by capitalist exploitation, and consequently always remains, in effect, a democracy for the minority, only for the propertied classes, only for the rich. Freedom in capitalist society always remains about the same as it was in the ancient Greek republics. Freedom for the slave owners. The average American doesn't want to send billions of tax dollars to fund genocides or proxy wars. We don't want to subsidize industries that are making the planet less habitable for our children. We want labor protections, a better work-life balance, a healthcare system that won't bankrupt us. I'm not saying that everything will be perfect in a socialist society. I'm saying these things are impossible in a capitalist one. When we face a problem today, something important like climate change, for example, our solutions not only need to be filtered by what will either be most profitable, or at best hurt profits the least, but also the actual solutions we do adopt are made by industries unaccountable to the public. Under capitalism, no government, no scientific board, no body of citizens really has the power to step to the fossil fuel industry. Under socialism, under a democratic economy, a climate change level decision may still be incredibly hard to make, but most people care more about still having a planet to live on than making.
And that's also why I think maybe life would be better in China in certain ways. I don't like the death penalty, for example. I don't like the credit system. Like people also. I understand it, the death penalty not, but I understand the people are more controlled and it's more authoritarian in many ways. I understand it's in part to protect the country from US influence or US like meddling like in other countries where they created some revolution or coups to get a more favorable government. For example, I understand also in this way why Cuba is a little bit more authoritarian because it's so close to the United States and they don't want to be, taken away. Like they don't want a coup. They want a peace and living in peace. So I understand it's there more than in China maybe, but also in China, they have I heard something like 800 military bases or so around China. Um, Probably not in Russia, but in many other countries around China. And I understand why China is worried there maybe. But it's also why I hope that China will rise to more power, and there will be a multipolar world. Best it would be if no power has so much influence, and I mean, best it would be if no country would have so much power. But if a single countries have so much power, then I would like it much more if it is spread among a few countries, not just in one country.
The line go up every year, and this way they'll actually have the power to make that decision a reality. That is what socialists offer: a more dignified life and the democratization of power. And the only thing it will cost us is giving up on the outdated idea that there is always a profit-driven solution to our problems. There isn't, and we can do better. Socialism is the way forward for humanity. It is moral, it is just. At this point, it's common sense. We have the data, we just have a lot of work to do deprogramming ourselves from a century of Red Scare propaganda. Anyway, I hope that some of this video has resonated with you and that you'll start asking questions about socialism yourself. If you do, I've got a bunch of other videos to help you learn more. We can do this. We can build a better world. So go on. Why not be a socialist? I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that my content is only possible thanks to my patrons on Patreon. I recently made the decision to leave Nebula, so I'm back to being 100% independent. It's exciting, but also a little nerve-wracking, since Nebula handled all my sponsors. Because a lot of people have been asking, and some bad actors have been trying to start drama, no, I wasn't kicked off the platform. I was asked to make a clarifying statement about my stance on Israel and Palestine, and in the end, it felt just a little too both-sidesy for me. In my opinion, it's a very black and white issue. So rather than compromise my principles, I decided it was best for me to leave. There's no bad blood there, so please don't go harassing Nebula for my sake. But now that I'm independent again, the best way to support the channel is on Patreon. If you enjoy the work we're doing here at Second Thought, and you're able to chip in even $1 a month, I would greatly appreciate your support. Every patron, regardless of pledge amount, gets early access to every video, plus access to our patrons-only Discord. We've got everything from a recommended reading list, to a book club, and I try to do a live Q&A every month or so. We've built a great community, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. We're a small team here.
No, I muted myself. Okay, now you hear me. Yeah, go there. I will have a link to his Discord if I find it in the description. Otherwise, in a pinned comment or so when I find it later. It's right now 3 a.m. in the morning. I started at 2 a.m. so an hour ago. The video is also an hour long, so 3 times longer than the original video. Thank you, GT, for this awesome, wonderful content. I will also support you again, my dear friend, my comrade, kind of, when I have the money again. We socialists have to work together. Communist, socialist. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. But I really appreciate you as a fellow communist socialist. I like very much your content. I enjoy it awesome. I mean, very much. I'm from Germany, but yeah. Thank you for very much for this video. I will also write a comment under this video to thank him for this. And I will maybe even put the links into my video. So later I will write the comment right now. I do it here in the video here. Please don't judge me for my English. Moment. Okay. And forgive me for my maybe bad English. It's not my native language, which is obvious, of course, for anyone who watches this video. But yeah. Okay, let's finish it.
We don't have institutional backing, so we're entirely dependent on viewer support. If you'd like to help keep this operation afloat, visit patreon.com/secondthought and become a patron today. If you enjoyed this video, consider dropping a like. If you hated it, a thumbs down. You can check out our other content by following the links on your screen. Thanks for watching. and we'll see you next time.
So yeah, hi, I'm back here. It's a wonderful video. It was awesome. I enjoyed it very much. As I said, it's now more than 3 times longer than the original video. I always try to make it at least double the length, or put as much into the video myself than I take from someone else. But it's now 3 times more, which I think is good. I don't like reactions which are have a similar length than the original video, because this means that people talk into the video, which I don't like. But I think I made everything clear. I will maybe make another video about socialism, communism, and so on later. But I think for now that's good. Yeah, please support him on Patreon. I will also do it myself again when I have the money. At the moment I can't afford this. I don't have any money. But I supported him for a while, and I will also support him again. He does a great job. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much, GT. You are awesome. Thank you. See you next time.